What was
It was especially when they were starting out in the 90s and 20s. Welcome to another episode of Football Theory with your hosts Guti and Ivan. Guti, how you doing, my man?
Guti gang. No, I'm just kidding. No, I'm good, man. We're back. We're what a great way to wrap up the qualifier. So that was a good way to. It was some good stuff. It was some good stuff for sure.
I mean, what a week it was. Let's start off. Let's get right into it. First day match, Thursday, September 2nd. 4 games. We got Jamaica, Mexico hosting Jamaica with no fans. 2-1 win, 90th minute. Martin goal. Mexico, better team in the forefront. Controlled most of the game. Get a goal and then get a slip up early on. You get a mistake from Jorge Sanchez, and then Jamaica ties it. It looks like they're about to sneak away with the tie, and Mexico at the end gets the result. So what were we thinking after match day 1 with Mexico?
Man, that was the one that I was most nervous about, the Jamaica game. I didn't know what Jamaica was going to bring, but we also know that the players were restricted because of travel, so they were obviously very hurt on that end. Mexico just looked, it looked sluggish, trying to figure it out, but like somehow I still got the win. Like you said, I really don't think Jamaica had enough to tie the game or even win it. I just think it was a mistake Jorge Sanchez made, elementary mistake of hitting the ball back into the middle and just leaving it there, and then Mexico just figuring out a way to score that second goal. I mean, Andy Martin came in and hit a banger, man. He shut me up. He hit a banger, one touch outside the box.
Yeah, I mean, it's so interesting the way soccer works, right? Because literally about 2 minutes right before Jamaica ties it out, Alvarado could have put it away from Mexico, make it 2-0, misses a wide open sitter. And, if he makes that, Jamaica doesn't have enough energy or momentum. And I'm sure they pretty much just kind of fall apart after that. And Mexico steams earlier to result. But because they don't, and these, you're playing with fine margins at this point. Mexico lets in a mistake and a goal that puts Jamaica into the game. And you're right, Martin comes in and hits a fantastic goal to give Mexico the win and get them off to a good start to qualifying.
Yeah, that was not just that one, but there was a couple other people keep forgetting. There was another one where Luis Romo has the ball and it's a 2-on-1, and then he does this basic, I'm gonna play it back across the middle, and when he does that, Jamaica player read it right, but it was 2-on-1. It was like, bro, that's a goal right there. So he missed that one. And then another one was Piojo Alvarado outside the box, hit one too early. I think it was like a 3-on-2 or 3-on-1. And then obviously the one you said where Funes Mori's like, here, I'll give you he literally gave him half a goal and he misses it. Like you said, so Mexico needed to score that second one where it could have been now 4-0 probably. So yeah, it was crazy. That's how soccer is though, right? That's it. That's all it is. You got to put it away. And if you don't score, they will score on you.
Yeah, when we look at the rest of the round 1 results, you had Canada tying at home to Honduras. You had Panama tying 0-0 at home to Costa Rica, and then you had El Salvador tying 0-0 to the USA. So you see the margins and how important it is that even though Mexico probably didn't play their best and didn't have their most going attack, the win was the most important because now they get themselves off to a front foot while the rest of these teams stalled. What did you think about the rest of the group, the first day of games for all these other teams? Was there a result that surprised you more than the other ones, or something? What were your overall results of the rest of the games?
I think Canada's going to keep kicking themselves in the butt after they realize what they just did in the first game against Honduras. I think El Salvador got a great result. And then obviously, like I said, we're talking in hindsight now that we've seen 3 games, but after that first day, I was like, wow, Salvador put in work. And then, Panama also, being able to just get a tie and a team that I kind of wrote off, okay, man, they did terrible. But they didn't do terrible. They just didn't qualify in the Gold Cup because Qatar was there. Remember, Qatar just, beat them. But that was a good game against them. So yeah, I mean, I guess the biggest one to me would be US not being able to do anything in El Salvador, using the field, using the fans as some kind of excuse. But last time we checked, right? I mean, this needs to be a self-criticism. Was hey, or self-reflection that hey, you have all this, they have the golden generation, all these players playing in Europe. It's if you're playing the big leagues and you can't win in El Salvador. I mean, it's still a green field, right? It's still a grass field. So, I mean, I don't know. That one to me was right there kind of like a head shaker, but I think Canada definitely is going to be man, we really give up 2 points at home to Honduras.
Yeah, so I mean, we are looking at this in hindsight, and I'm trying to get back, like you, I'm trying to
Yeah,
go
I'm trying
back
to
to my
block my
feeling.
mind from
I'm
yesterday.
trying to go back to the feelings, yeah, of what I felt on Friday or Thursday after these games.
Right.
You know, we talked about it a little bit the week before and leading up to it, that this was not going to be an easy game for the United States against El Salvador. You know, I think we predicted that this could have happened. The result like this was possible, you know, with the way that El Salvador has momentum going, especially it being the first game and it being early in qualifying. I listened to Land Donovan, an interview with him. He had, you know, it really matters when you play these teams because right now everybody has a chance. You know, I mean, this isn't game 10 of 14. This is game 1 of 14. Everybody has a chance to qualify. So you had El Salvador who was right there. So I wasn't as surprised by the result for El Salvador. I was with you with Canada. When I saw the Canada result, I'm like, oh man, this could be a letdown because they've struggled away in CONCACAF in the past. And I thought this was going to be a huge slip for them after Friday. I'm like, this is the worst result for them besides Jamaica because they lost for everybody else. This is the worst tie of all the other teams, I thought, because they're at home. This is a game I thought they should have had. And, you know, when you picture them getting in there, I thought this was a game that they probably thought that they needed when you kind of do the math.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So those are the kind of my thoughts on those. And then, you know, like I said before, Mexico not playing well, but like not, you know, they're coming out, they're trying to figure out this. They're kind of sloppy right now. Mexico's not playing at their best, which is like kind of like a positive, right? Like they're not playing good at all. No one can say they are, and they won a game, you know. So 3 points. Hey, we've been in qualifiers where every point counts, and maybe, you know, 2 World Cup cycles ago, that's, you know, they tied Jamaica 0-0, and that's how they started the qualifier. We're almost losing to Jamaica at home, right? So that's way different than, you know, getting 3 points. So 3 points is
absolutely. And then, you know, we moved to Sunday. Mexico goes to Costa Rica, which is all difficult. First away game, difficult place to play.
Yeah.
Mexico 1-0 win. And, you know, I was kind of disappointed in Costa Rica in that game. I thought Mexico did fine. You know, they changed some things up. There was some positives and negatives, but I think for me it was more Costa Rica. Just you're seeing now what Costa Rica is compared to what they were. And I think that was a result that was for me the most surprising is what I saw out of Costa Rica more than anything.
Yeah, dude. I mean, we said they were on their way down, but I didn't think they were going to be that bad. Where it's like they had no idea and they're just throwing names out there. And I think the coach is probably like, well, let's just call these guys because they've been there before, and kind of just going off of like, let's go off experience. But they're going to have to pick it up and actually start playing because that's not going to work. You know, that's not going to work, whatever they put out there. And I really thought that was going to be the toughest game of the 3 for Mexico to play at San Jose de Costa Rica. And I'm like, well, you know, I'm okay with getting that 1 point there. And obviously things have changed, but hey, getting the win there was solid. You know, Mexico's probably like, let's go. We'll take the 3 now that you're slipping. Because maybe in, you know, 2-3 months, Costa Rica kind of picks it up. So we will see how it goes. But hey, you got to catch them while they're slipping, and they got them. So 3 points.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And, you know, I was like the biggest indicator to me of how poor or what Jamaica was going to, or what Costa Rica was going to bring to the game was the fact they didn't start Joel Campbell. And Joel Campbell wasn't your starting lineup. If you're going out try to beat Mexico at home, you get an away draw. Let's try to pick up momentum. Let's get 4 points right now and put ourselves in a good position moving on. You put in your best attacking player, which is Joel Campbell, and you don't. And that just gave me all the wrong indications for Costa Rica that they were looking for a draw at home early on in this game, in this result, which for me was disappointing for Costa Rica. For Mexico, you know, they were, you know, the not having VAR I think is really hurting for Mexico because they're getting beat up. Like you saw Vega, you're seeing Corona getting hit again. You're seeing a lot of physical play, and it's just like, you know, you feel bad for Vega because was one of the better players on Thursday for Mexico. Was good when he played in the first half of Costa Rica, and he ends up getting hurt. And, you know, you're just seeing the difference of not having VAR in this turn so far in this qualifying for when teams play against Mexico.
Yeah, I mean, there's really, honestly, I think it's got to be the most probably really embarrassing to CONCACAF because I don't want to hear anything else other than like, I mean, I guess there was one reason why they don't have it, right? I mean, the biggest one, I was like, okay, there's got to be money, and there is money. CONCACAF has money. Okay, we know they have money. We know how things work. We've seen the Gold Cup. We've seen other events they do. CONCACAF has money. But I guess their whole thing was right. I mean, if you could kind of stop me if I'm wrong, but the biggest thing was that the referees that are going to be in the CONCACAF qualifiers, most of them do not use it in their home leagues, right? Is that why they didn't have the VAR?
They said that not enough of the countries had the proper equipment to put VAR into the field or stadium, which
Oh yeah, and that was one of them, right? But the
I
second
find that
one was
BS.
also,
Yeah.
but the second one was also like, for example, the referees that ref in El Salvador, who were referees for the qualifier, or the referees who ref from Jamaica, they don't use them in the home league so that they wouldn't be able to know how to use it when it comes down to a game, right? It was like two-part, right? Money, camera, and the referees weren't doing it, right? Because only MLS, and I'm assuming only Liga MX, right? I don't know if Costa Rica's league does it, right?
Yeah, it's I mean, yeah, and you saw it in the Gold Cup in the Nations League how
they don't know how to use it.
They didn't know how to use it. Yeah, so yeah, for that it was bad. I think we'll talk about after all we talk about all the games who've impressed us at this point after the 3 games. But Mexico gets an away game. They're at 6 points. Going over the rest of the games on that Sunday. Jamaica losing 3-0 to Panama at home. Panama getting an away result. The two teams that won that on Sunday, both away games. El Salvador and Honduras tie 0-0 in El Salvador. And then USA ties at home to Canada. So, at this point, depending where you want to go, Panama riding high. They got 4 points away with, counting two results away, getting a point at home or getting a point away and getting a win away. Yeah. Jamaica, these guys they had some of their English players playing at this point because they didn't have to travel to Mexico, so they were there. They're still trying to figure all this CONCACAF style out, figuring it's not as easy as it might seem. El Salvador with a little bit of a letdown at home after having a very emotional draw against USA to Honduras. I think if you're Honduras, you're feeling great. 2 draws out of 2 games away, you're feeling good too. And then Canada bounces back from drawing at home to draw away a USA, a game.
That was a big point for Canada. That was a big point.
You could feel it that it was a rivalry game, I think, where USA didn't want to lose to Canada because they want to keep being big brother between those two. And you saw Canada being like, we believe we can get a result out of them and we know how to get at them. And you saw that from Canada too, with getting that huge win for them, kind of putting them back, giving them a little bit of energy after a disappointing draw.
Canada's doing it, and like they had 2 or 3 at the end where they could have snuck away with the win. Like it was like US like trying not to lose, trying to figure out how to play Canada. But Canada has a couple guys, and Alfonso Davies is no joke. He's come on, he's got to be top 3 in the CONCACAF that play, off by far, right, out of all the players that are in CONCACAF. If he's not number 1 or 2, and so like to be honest, it's like, okay, he was out there, he was killing it. The U.S. team's trying to figure out what the heck they're doing. They're probably like, okay, we need to get this dub because we didn't get that. We tied El Salvador, and they're like, we need to get these 3 points at home. And U.S. is like, freaking out because they want to get these home points, knowing they still have to go to Jamaica later on, right? When they're probably going to be full strength. They still have to go to Mexico, right? They still have to go to Canada, even though it's right across the line. But it's probably going to be that hostile. But hey, that Nashville crowd actually came out, right? The Nashville crowd came out for U.S. and like you said, U.S. finds a way to get a non-Latino, home base to come out and support them. let's go somewhere north or somewhere else.
Yeah. So after 2 games, we're at Mexico at 6, Panama at 4. The only 2 teams who've won after 2 games. You have everybody else with 2 draws, and then Jamaica sitting with 0. Mm-hmm. And so at this point, where are you? How are you feeling for Mexico? And then how are you feeling? Or Canada had, yeah. Where are you feeling? Where are you feeling Mexico? Where are you feeling with everybody else after round 2 from what we saw?
I was definitely feeling almost like not undeserved, right? But Mexico were like, hey man, we got 6 points, and like I said before, it's a points game. It's all about points, and the critics come from all over the place talking about not playing well or talking about CONCACAF. The level's so low. Look at everybody just tying. It's like, no, I don't believe it's low. I believe it's very even. I believe teams know how to play each other. Teams know each other very well because they're teams that play each other a lot, in Gold Cup again, and they play each other again in what qualify. Usually the same countries, right? You don't really see too many variables, here and there. Maybe Guatemala finds their way in, or El Salvador finds their way back, or maybe here and there, Haiti will find their way in, or Trinidad Tobago. But there's very, very few variables, right? Everybody else is usually the same teams. So it's like at this point, most teams know, okay, it's the first week. There's 9 points available. I think most of them probably have the goal of getting 6 or 7 points, So it's like everyone's trying to kind of like, oh, let's see what we can do at home. And you'll see it opening up. Like you said, it makes a big difference when they play each other. So it's going to open up the last two. Well, the last two might not even matter anymore, but definitely like by the third one, you're going to see teams open up a little bit because teams will be so down in points or so up. They're going to have to start playing. But yeah, after the second game, I was like, wow, Mexico has 6 points. You can't ask for more. I don't even care about how they're playing. I have no desire. I mean, yeah, you love them to start coming out of the back and play like Barcelona, but from the 2000s, but that's not what I care about, right? I care about points, and points is what's going to get you to the World Cup, because the World Cup is still a year and months away. So it's not even a big deal of like how you get there. You got to get in, right, Ivan? So who cares? You know what I mean? So like Canada, they're like, let's get some points. And as long as they're adding points, they're doing their job. Honduras at that point, like you said, was getting an away point, getting actually both away, right? Honduras getting 2 away points, right? So like, that's not bad at all. And that, in retrospect, that's not bad at all. And US is probably the one most unhappy after the week 2, just because, or after the weekend, because having 2 points and letting home points go away and then not being able to get a point, or not even get a win in Salvador, I think US is probably like, so they probably had the most pressure going into the third week for sure. Third game, sorry, not third week.
Yeah, they definitely had the most pressure. I mean, we can get into it now. Western McKennie, because good leeway. That's professional right there. Western McKennie gets sent home after the second game. Doesn't play a second game. Gets suspended. There's rumors going around about what he did. And we can get into why it took so long for the actual result, or for them to actually make a statement on why he got out, or for a report to get out. But Western McKennie at the end doesn't travel with the team to USA's third game in Honduras. Instead goes to Italy. He's sent home. He's suspended for the second game for breaking what turns out to be protocol and COVID rule, the team rules that the team had in place for a bubble, for them to stay safe for COVID. And he did it. He broke it twice. Apparently, he broke 2 different. They're there for 2 days. Both days, apparently, he got a little too excited being in Nashville, and broke protocol twice for the team and got suspended. Not the first time that he's got in trouble in Juventus in 2020 for breaking actual Italian law for what the country had in place for COVID, for having a party. Him and 2 other Juventus players were suspended. So when you add that to the result that USA didn't get, now you're talking huge. And then Gio Reyna's hurt, and these other things as well. So that was kind of the cloud hanging over USA for 2 days.
Yeah, and funny for my one of my good friends who used to play for the U.S. national team. I texted him about that, and he called him Clapton America, but that's a different story. But anyways, Mr. Weston, I think you're going to start seeing, and I think this is a positive for U.S. I really do think. I think for U.S., they're going to have to realize that you do not need all the big names. And I'm not saying like you don't want all these big names, because you do. But like, if you want to compare it to like Mexico, for example, from before, like their golden generation that Mexico used to have, right? I mean, you've seen it many times, like all the big names all put together. If they don't mesh well, or they're not, on the same page as the coach and everything else, it doesn't mean anything. It's, and obviously quoting the movie from freaking Miracle. Remember Miracle? He's like, I don't need the best players. I need the right players. So like US has to, the US fan needs to relax. And you're going to see that you really don't need all of the big names. So if these guys aren't down with it, if they're not going to follow protocol, if they're not with it, like, it's okay. I mean, how you get to the World Cup is one thing. And trust me, if US gets to the World Cup, which they will, which I know they will, they're going to be okay. They're not going to matter like how they got there. Like, oh man, well, this player isn't that. And like you said, players went down. I mean, tell Jamaica that. Tell Jamaica how many players couldn't go to their first game, or tell Mexico how many players, are injured or not able to come for whatever rule, and have them, you still have to play, so like, as far as names, like, hey, the guy doesn't want to be part of it. He broke the rule before. You see Charlie Davey come out and talk about it, how he ruined that. And obviously that ruined his career, to be honest, right? When he went out and did the whole thing and crashed, didn't he? So it's like different things, so I don't know. I feel bad for Weston. I think his fire on the field brings a lot to the U.S. team. He's a really good player. Obviously, probably one of the best that they have. So that they're going to hurt maybe down the road. But hey, I'm pretty sure Greg Berhalter is going to be able to, move past that and probably not call him the next time around, to be honest. Probably tell him just chill out for a little bit. So we'll see.
See, I think he's going to get a call back. I think this was the punishment, not playing in the last game. I think that's his punishment, because I think he will get called back. He'll give him another chance. That's what I think. I think from what all indications, what Greg Berhalter said after the game about saying, it's done. He apologized. We talked, blah, blah. It may seem that he is going to come back. And you're right. He's a very talented player. I see a lot of Hector Herrera energy in him. You know what I mean? The guy who breaks up plays, he gets in it, kind of, always kind of there. So the talent is there. I tend to be more like, protect the players, and kind of defend them more than I think most people do. But with this one, it was such a stupid thing to do and do it twice. You know what I mean? It's kind of like it just shows them immaturity of being 23, right? Because and so many people mentioned it. There's so much.
Hey, but how many guys are out there? How many other guys are out there? They're 18, 19, 20, not doing it. I mean, I know he's 23, but
exactly.
And we've seen it happen before. We've seen a whole Mexican team, 8 guys get kicked out of a Copa America on the way there, get sent home. So we've seen this before. We've seen obviously I can't put myself in their shoes because I never was at that level. And looking back, I would never do that. No, I probably would too.
No,
but
of course. We're all dumb and we weren't millionaires.
You also need to know, bro, it's a different time.
We're also in a pandemic. That's the problem. That's my biggest problem. We're also in a pandemic, which is kind of my biggest problem with it all. We're still in, trying to figure this out, which I think is my biggest issue with it, But, he's going to get called back and he's going to get another thing. My other issue with this is because, and this has nothing to do at this point with Weston. This has to do with the way U.S. soccer is covered in the United States. There was almost a day and a half where there was no real information that came out officially from sources. And yet you have these prominent writers who are following the USA, going to all these games, getting all this access, people saying, oh, I know what happened, but I'm not going to say, all these things. And it takes Mexican media for the story to break with official sources. So what I don't like is the writers and the people covering U.S. soccer, what I feel is they had the information on what actually happened, and they didn't want to give the information to not lose any of the privileges that the U.S. soccer gives them, because they want to keep having the access that they're given, if that makes sense. That's what I think was happening. I think that's pretty poor. I'm not saying it should be like TMZ gossip style. What I'm saying is you're allowing for all these stories to develop. It got to the point that the rumor was that he took another teammate's player, trying to get with one of the teammate's sister and all these things. And the story just kept manifesting. You can stop it because these people have access to it. They know things. I've been in locker rooms before with teams. You hear, things. For them not to do it to be afraid of access, I think is a problem. And overall, when it comes to covering the team.
Are you talking about Grant Wall? No, just say his name, Ivan. Come on. No, well, that's the difference, right? Maybe that's the biggest difference between Mexican soccer and U.S. soccer, or any other country, is the fact that Mexican reporters have no problem calling you out for anything you do. They can care less if you're Carlos Vela, the best player in his generation, or you're Chicharito, the most goals ever. They don't care who you are. If you're part of a party and they have a story about you, they're all about that. They love that. They love that, right? And we know the reporters' names, and they make a living off of that. That's what they do. They're almost like the biggest, the big, like you said, TMZ, Mexican TMZ for sure. So yeah, I mean, that's the difference. But that's also the difference between having the pressure of being on a different kind of team, right? And I think that U.S. team kind of favors from not having that pressure of stuff coming out, or like you said, the press being all over them, because it's almost like all pro team, right? It's never like, let's go catch what they're doing, catch them slipping. But I don't know if it has to do with rumors like that, though, Ivan. I mean, we don't know what it is. I mean, this is also a reflection of the team. Like, who's the leader of this U.S. golden generation? Because it is not Christian Pulisic, and I don't want to hear it. Like, whether you put the ban on him because he's number 10 and because he, is worth the most money, you could do that if you want. That's like any high school coach giving, the best player the captain ban. That doesn't mean he's the leader, So I feel like that's probably another reflection of the team. Who do they got leading the team? a bunch of young guys, a bunch of guys playing everywhere, a lot of guys with money. Like, who's going to actually like grab them all together and say, hey, we can't do this. This is not okay.
Yeah, you're right. They are lacking some sort of leadership. You would think maybe like a Brooks would be that kind of leader. He's a little older. He's played a long time in Europe. He kind of knows things in and out. That's someone you kind of think of, but that. And so, that leads us to them now going to Honduras. Honduras 2 points out. First home game for them. And let's just transition to game 3 from this, where you have a team without Weston McKennie and some of these other guys. And first half ends 1-0, USA down 1-0. And, second half, probably I won't say his job was on the line. I'm not going to go that far, but pressure was.
It was close, bro. If he ends that third one, spoiler alert, right? If you didn't watch the game, but if he ends that third one with 2 points and they lose in Honduras, I think it was over. I think everybody was tripping out. I don't know. I think it was over at that moment.
Well, around
2
points,
the castle, is a lot different than 5.
Yeah,
2 is different than 5. So
people were showing up with torches around the castle. We don't know how close they were to actually getting the castle where Berhalter was being protected. But the team makes 3 changes right at half. USA ends up winning 4-1. Pepi scores a couple and is involved in a lot of the buildup for them, and they run away 4-1. And all of a sudden, what looked like to be a nightmare 3 games now turns into 5 points. So not bad for them. 2 away games. Things now look a lot better. Covering the other games, Jamaica and Costa Rica tie 1-1. Jamaica gets their first points on the road. Costa Rica, again, failing to do something a lot at home. Canada, 3-0 win at home against El Salvador. Really took it to, it was 2-0 within like 15 minutes too. They were down El Salvador's throat. You saw the urgency from Canada, knowing that, they're at home. They need to get a result after not getting a result last time at home. And they really took it to El Salvador. And finally, Mexico 1-1 against Panama. Panama, fantastic in the first half. Really got after Mexico. Definitely the better team. Second half, it could be a combination of things. This is the 3rd game in a week. Panama started pretty much the same starting 11 all 3 games. Mexico rotated. I think you saw a lot of tired legs in Panama. Well, Mexico made some changes. Andres Guardado played a deep lying midfielder, allowed Romo to get up. You saw these other changes as well. Corona answers with a tidy finish after putting a lot of pressure on Panama and make it 1-1. And, Mexico leaves Panama and leaves the first group on top of CONCACAF after 3 rounds with 7 points, and so where are we at with Mexico? So where are you at with Mexico after yesterday's result? And before we get into how we are feeling overall with everybody.
Before I go to that one, that US, that second half, right? Obviously they looked way better. Pepi put in work. I think Honduras I think they were gassed out, right? They weren't going to keep up that. I knew that halftime that they're not going to be able to keep this up. Like, they were playing like Bayern Munich, man. They were all over them, killing them. Second half, they came out, they were just, okay, we can't do this anymore. It's a lot of pressure. And that just happens usually when it's the 3rd game. Like you said, people were fatigued. All 4 games were kind of like that, where, like you said, Panama went out with the same lineup. Mexico, you kind of saw like just a couple guys just not working out. It was kind of like that throwaway game. Yeah. Let's see what happens. And I think it was kind of at that point, like, look, we already got 6 points. The worst we can go home with is 6 points and no one gets mad. And I told you that. Remember, I told you 6 was cool. 7 is what I wanted, so 7 is what we got, which is perfect, especially like in a game like, hey, let's get this tie. It's better than going home with this loss. And, I thought Mexico should have scored a couple in the second half. I don't think Panama was better than them to be able to be winning. I think it was definitely like an error, like, hey, they crossed it in. They were all over Mexico, but, Ochoa, if he goes back, he doesn't make that same mistake where he stops the ball literally right there. And the forward is like in this perfect position, just tap it in, like perfect position, just right there. So it was like a kind of like, kind of close to, not as bad as an error against Jamaica, but kind of like, a mistake where the other team just was there in the right spot and scored. I don't think, you hear the commentators like, well, Panama deserves to be winning. It's like, what are you talking about? Like, why? Why? Because they're all over them. Like, they're not, not like they were making Ochoa do too much, and then the second half, Mexico was all over him. Tecatito started actually probably playing his best half he's had in a long time, making some moves and, getting some fresh legs in there. But like, hey, like I said, they went in there already knowing they had 6 points, and Edson Alvarez being out there with the 2 yellows, that didn't help at all. And like, I think you're going to start seeing like that third game, bro. Every time there's these little rounds with that third game is going to be tough for everybody. Like, that third game is going to be rough. Yeah.
So to put where we're at now, catch everybody up. Mexico leads the Oct. I'm gonna call it the Oct. I like the Oct. The Oct with 7 points. Canada, USA, and Panama 2, 3, 4, all different goal differentials. They all have 5. Costa Rica, Honduras, El Salvador, 5 through 7, all with 2, and then Jamaica with 8. What gives me hope if I'm Jamaica is the fact that they went down to Costa Rica at Costa Rica, and they found a way to get a result after getting 2 bad results. After, like you said, 3 games, a lot going on. It's so easy to pack it up, be like, you know what? This just wasn't our round. This wasn't our kickoff or anything like that. And they did it. Like, Jamaica battled back, and that's a huge point for them, I think, moving forward, to be honest with you. I think if these players from the EPL and the championship can kind of get used to the CONCACAF style a little bit, and now that they're kind of seeing what it is, this point I think could be huge for them to give them life and to battle and see if they can catch up to like Canada or Panama, to be honest with you. Because I think USA now are a little more in the clear now that they've gotten that result against Honduras. I think they're in the clear now, and they're
they got amnesia all of a sudden. Like that third game, like Coach Lasso said, right? That goldfish memory, like we're all of a sudden, hey, you remember the third game more than the first one, right? Yeah. It's like at school, right? You didn't want to present last because everyone's gonna remember your presentation. So Jamaica was able to leave with the tie. That was positive. Let's go home. Let's get out of here. An away tie is all good. And Costa Rica goes away probably the worst. Probably like, what the heck just happened to us? You know what I mean? Like, what are we doing? And I heard I saw Keylor was all pissed off. He was yelling at somebody. So like Keylor obviously knows, like, dude, we are in big trouble here. Like, we are in big trouble.
Yeah. See, I think El Salvador is the one who's in big trouble because now they have 2 games at home. They weren't able to get any points. Yeah. They got absolutely worked against Canada, and they looked so tired. They just looked
because their roster's but their roster's not that deep, right? Honduras, I mean, El Salvador has to bring literally their double citizenship guys. They're the grandchildren of Salvadorians, right? That's what they're doing. Like they're bringing in whatever they got that plays at the top flight. So like that's all they really have. Their first lineup and a couple guys. So like they're going to the third game probably like, this is like all we have, and they probably killed it on that US game. They probably went all out on that one, which is a great way to start the 3. I just think what I'm saying Costa Rica is going to be going as a loser is because they know where they were, they know where they can be, and they're probably like, dude, what the heck? El Salvador is just trying to make it. No one thinks that El Salvador is going to get 4th place. I don't think they are. But Costa Rica, we thought they're at least going to try to stay in the top 4,
Yeah.
That's what I mean as far as the expectations, right? Costa Rica's like, what the heck? And El Salvador, hey, they can still nitpick at it. We got the tie here.
I think, El Salvador came in with a lot. I think El Salvador came in with a lot more higher expectations from that Gold Cup. So I think people were expecting something, and then you get that tie against USA. You're building momentum.
But that's cool, right? I mean, the tie against USA is big.
Yeah, but now, like you mentioned earlier, it's all really math, kind of. At the end of the day, I actually crunched down the numbers. I went by all the hexes that happened since 1998. CONCACAF has done hexes. I took all the averages of how many points of all the points I've been accumulated.
You had a lot of time on your hands today.
Yeah, and so essentially, in the past, through 10 games instead of 14, first team qualifies with 21. To second, 18.16, third, 15.16. What I'm basically saying is, and then I just did math for qualifying, see how many points per game you need essentially to kind of qualify for these spots. And then I multiplied it by how many games we're playing now. But to qualify in the top 3, you kind of need to hit that 21-point range out of these 14 games.
Okay.
And then to get into the playoff, you need to get about just a little over 18 from what the past experiences have given us. You know what I mean? So, now it turns into a math problem where you're like, all right, where can we get points? Where are we gonna, and who else is giving up points too? I think that's important. With all these early ties, some teams left points on the table. Some teams, were able to take points away from other people. So it will be, moving forward, especially because it's the first time it's 3 games in a week, where teams are going to be able to get points earlier, where teams are going to be able to take points away from other teams, how they're feeling.
And that's why you need them now, right? Because those last 2 rounds, you're gonna have two teams already disqualified. I mean, the last two
Yeah.
rounds, you're gonna have two teams eliminated, not disqualified. Sorry, eliminated. Like, there's no way out of 8 teams, like with with 4 games to go, two teams are gonna be gone already. Like, they're gonna be, it's gonna be over. So people are gonna try to just bank their points on them. But like, you need your points now, man. You need your points in this next round too. You're gonna start seeing a big jet separation in the next round for sure. After the next round.
Yeah, I think you're right. And because there'll be a team that's 8th or 7th, and there's almost no way by the time about like round 10 hits up, 10th game, where they're going to be able to catch up to the 4th place team. And so then you have, and then at that time, probably the 1st and 2nd place team are kind of have separated themselves from the pack too. And you're essentially having about 4 teams battle out for 2 spots, more or less. And where can they get the where can they get the points? Where can the opponent lose points? And it just kind of becomes a cluster. And what you want to do is, one, keep yourself in the cluster and avoid being eliminated. Or if you're like Mexico or United States, you can kind of group in the same thing. Push yourself away from the cluster and kind of just be more comfortable in the head. And, because you're going to see, I thought in this first round, it seemed like teams were trying to like, let's not lose the game. A lot of times, like, yo, this is going to be. I think they're all trying to. They're all trying to get a point. Let's not lose this. Let's not lose this early. Let's not try to get out of here. And I think that's why you saw so many draws, a lot of 0-0 draws, a lot of 1-1 draws, a lot of really tight games, because teams didn't want to lose those points early on. And that's why I think that Jamaica point was huge, to give them a little confidence and keep them just like right in there. Just keep them right in there, just 4 points away from Panama. And so, so out of the 4 teams that aren't in the top 4 right now, the teams that haven't won yet, which one of them would you give the most confidence into making a run to maybe make into the top 4?
I think we're being a little hard on Honduras. I think, look, I mean, I'm not saying their generation is amazing, but what they showed against US in that first half, I thought, I was like, okay, that's pretty dope. And they got the 2-away ties, like you said. I mean, they lost to US, which is, I guess you could say it's okay. It's normal. It's not a big deal. 4-1 or 2-1 or 1-0 still a loss. It doesn't matter how you lose. I really don't care about that. So I really feel like Honduras is that one team I think can fight their way back to being up there in the 4, because Honduras plays Mexico like it's a freaking World Cup. And when I watch Honduras against Mexico, I'm freaked out. I mean, I really am. Honduras brings it, especially in San Pedro Sula. No joke. Right. So I would say that team, and then Jamaica. I think Jamaica and Honduras are gonna be back up there in the middle group, fighting with other teams that are up there. So I think those are the ones that are gonna be, you're gonna see them on the next round. I think they're gonna do better. I think so. I mean, 1 point here, 2 points there, but I think Jamaica and Honduras are gonna find their way back in the middle.
Yeah, I think for me, because I picked Jamaica probably a month ago, maybe more, that this team could be in the top 4, could be in the mix. So I'm gonna stick with it. So a lot of this, what I'm saying is I'm talking myself into still believing in Jamaica. Yeah. And I think if these guys they got from England can settle down a bit, and like I said earlier, they've gone through a round now. They kind of now know what it's like. That's, okay, you're playing against a Panama team. You might not know these names. You might see what club they play in, and you might not know these clubs. They're going to come at you and they're going to battle. I think for me, seeing the way Panama has essentially used the same, I think the broadcast yesterday said use the same starting 5 of the last 6 games. If they're going to keep doing that, that's a lot of work these guys are putting in this short amount of time in these smart windows. Can they keep it up? Because early on they look good, but can they keep it up in October? Can they keep it up in November? Are they going to keep it up for March? Do they have the depth to, if something does go bad, can they bring in somebody and keep holding on? I guess is what for me, the question I have for Panama, which we won't be able to know till we answer it for later.
And you got to catch teams when they're slipping. In the biggest thing, like Mexico got to play a better, easier Jamaica because they didn't have the players they were supposed to have. But then Jamaica got to play Mexico with no fans. Yeah. You see, so everyone's trying to catch everybody slipping for whatever reason. You don't ever know who's going to be injured at that point. You don't know who's going to be restricted to travel. You don't know who gets COVID, right, or who breaks protocol as well. So it's all trying to catch people slipping. I like it. It's a little mini tournament style. It's exciting. I don't know. Everyone's trying to bash it on media, talking about how, how low it is and this and that and this and that. But I mean, you can see Argentina play Bolivia and it's not any better. So,
so when it comes to Mexico, what players impressed you? Or what player surprised you? Were there any that disappointed you?
Dude, it's looking rough. I'm not. I mean, impressed me. I guess I really liked Jorge Sanchez. I know he made a mistake. I called it. I told you he was going to play over Chaka. I knew that was going to happen. He was playing good with America. I think athletically he's better than Chaka. I think defensively he's probably just a tad bit just better just because he's more athletic. But then going forward, he was doing some cool stuff, man. He looked like a right mid, going up. And I think that's what Mexico likes to see. That's what I like to see with my backs going up the line. So I thought Jorge Sanchez did cool. I didn't like Orbelin. I don't know what, he was either out of position or just not. Sometimes he's just on, sometimes he's not. And I don't know what Rodolfo Pizarro was doing on the field, but we're never going to figure that one out yet to this point. But Andy Martin, I mean, I think he's making a little call like, hey, okay, our main guy can't come. Our two other guys don't want to come or whatever it may be. Funes Mori's cold, and Andy Martin's like, I'll do it. I'm fifth string, whatever I'm in, I'm ready to go. And I don't think he's ready to give his spot to like a younger kid, So I think those are the two guys, Jorge Sanchez and Andy Martin, which, they play for America, but hey, they put in work.
Yeah, for me, I think the person who impressed me the most is someone who's gotten a lot of flack. I think a lot of Mexican fans have asked to have him be pushed out. But I thought for the Costa Rica game, and then when he came in the Panama game, he was, if not the best player, the second or third best player on the field for Mexico is Andres Guardado. You see the reason why they bring him along, that experience he has.
This guy, you see this guy how his eyes light up, man. He's wearing the Atlas jersey as he's talking. But go, keep going, man. Keep going.
I get it. You see what he brings, the experience he has. I think being in Betis and being a captain in Betis has helped him kind of grow into what it actually means to be a captain. In the past, last cycle when he was a captain, Rafa Marquez was still there too, and so they're kind of co-captains. But Marquez always had the armband before him, and when he wasn't there, when Andres Guardado was the captain. But here you see why they bring him along. I mean, Edson can't play the third game. The team's kind of lost in the midfield. He comes in, he's playing a deep lying midfielder, allowing for Luis Romo to go up higher, and he's not being a defensive midfielder. He's coming all the way back, getting the ball, help, and kind of almost playing like a three in the back to allow the guys to get up from wide and kind of add more pressure. And I saw that, and then the Costa Rica game, the way what he put in when the game started, for me, he showed his value on why he's important to this team, even if he's not putting in the 90 minutes game in and game out. For me,
I mean, maybe because I just expect that from him. He's a veteran. He's an OG. He's still playing at a high level. Like you say, he's been captain for different teams. This is the kind of games where he has to step in, like you said. Like, we need experience when you do go to qualifiers. This is where a young team can suffer, right? Like, you don't have anyone there to kind of get everyone together. And Andres Guardado was all business. He's all business, and he's been there many, many times in these fields, right? In Costa Rica and Honduras, he's been in these places that are tough to play. He's been in rough situations where the teams just can't get wins. He's been in the 7-0 losses. He's been in, the big wins, whatever. So, I mean, you got to keep those kind of guys around. And if he's in his shape, he's going to be there, So, hey, I'd rather have him than a couple other guys, because a couple other guys just don't show it. Like, they don't show that, that patience, and I saw like Guardado putting dimes across the field, like, left foot.
Oh, his passing was incredible. The last pass he gave to Pizarro at the very end.
Yeah,
I mean, he put it right on his foot, just absolutely. That was a dime. Yeah,
immaculate. There's not a lot of guys that could do that. I think you can kind of compare like Cuauhtemoc what he used to do as a veteran, just keep coming in where you're like, we know he's 40, but he's gonna give you this, we know. And then Guardado's not even up there like that in age, but it's like Gual was that kind of that guy where like he's been there. He's been in these fields. He's been in these stadiums. It doesn't really scare him. He's been at World Cups. He's been in big, stadiums. So I think you got to keep those guys around, because I feel like that's probably what a little bit of our guys in the defense or midfield are kind of lacking, is that experience. And, especially like Hector Herrera not being there, like you said, Raul Jimenez not being there, the other guys that don't get called, so it's cool. Guardado did cool.
And now 169 caps. So he's 8 away from tying Suarez, and he is 9 away from passing him, which quite remarkable. And quickly, I thought Cesar Monte did pretty good, and Eso Araujo did pretty good for Mexico in the center back. They kind of seemed they did pretty decently well defining their pairing, especially, a back line that I think coming out of the Olympics, Cesar Montes was kind of probably seen as the second best center back out of the two that came out of the Olympics. So, for them, I thought they did well. But yeah, like you said earlier, it's all about getting results right now. We've seen Mexican qualifying in the past where things have not started off really well and coaching changes have been made early, or coaching changes have been made almost too late with how they're starting. So getting off to a hot start is important. We've said it's pretty much a math equation. You got to get points. You got to keep chugging along, and you got to kind of have to. It kind of seems like it's those like races, like marathon races or bicycle races and stuff. You don't want to be in that middle crowd too long and get tripped up with everybody. If that makes sense. Yeah. You don't want to
kind of want to stay in the front and just stay in the front. Yeah, stay in the front and stay in the front, and just keep it's easier to keep a lead than try to catch up for sure.
Absolutely. And no Mexico team has ever won their first three qualifiers. So Mexico just kind of right at pace, and it's the right where they need to be. I think.
And there were maybe like 2-3 more minutes from getting it. I mean, the referee only gave 2 minutes extra time, right? Yeah, no, let's be real. Like I'm not trying to say,
that's bad. That's bad. That's bad. That's bad reffing. Yeah, that's terrible.
2 extra minutes with all the refereeing. We know that Corona didn't get the PK. He got stepped on clearly. That's a card as well. So different couple things there where like Mexico could have still got the 9 points. So that's why you go with the good taste in your mouth. Like, let's go, 7 points. We're out of here.
Yeah, and if everybody's healthy, you're looking at a roster next cycle that might be even better with, if Moreno is there, if Vasquez is there, Hector Herrera, Chucky, Raul Jimenez maybe. So, a lot of possibilities for Mexico to even improve and keep getting better, I think. So, we tried to cover as much as we could in this episode. I thought we did well.
Yeah, it was good, man.
Yeah, it was good. I think we'll save the 50-50s for next week.
So, if you want.
We
I just want to say one last comment right here. I was really excited. It's a weird feeling, but I'm 32 years old and I've never seen a Mexican kid being able to get a shot like Pepi did, and come in. And I talked about it before. I told you this is the one I wanted to play for Mexico, but Pepi going in, the skill he has, scoring a goal for US, carrying that team in the second half, like it to me, like forget like all the teams and countries, whatever, put aside, like it's a huge thing to see this Mexican kid, born in El Paso, Texas, like do this and get that opportunity. It just gives it to me, it just opens up a window, opens up like the eyes to a country that needs to, I would say cater to this and figure out a way to find more Pepis, because I think other groups have been given that opportunity, but we know the one group that has not is the the Mexican American kid. So I'm glad to see that.
I agree with your sentiment 100%. I couldn't have said it any better myself, so I won't even try. But you're right. So on that positive note, I heard Pepi's a big fan of us. So Pepi, shout out whenever you want to come on. We're here for you.
I've been knocking him out. I say, Pepi, you got to come over. So hey, hopefully he'll listen to us one day.
All right. Well, on that positive note, that's going to do it for us. Guti, thank you again for always appreciative to you.
Yeah.
Thank you for the listeners. 200 listens. So good. That's good. Thank you guys so
much.
Oh
yeah. Over 200 listens on our way to 3. Slowly, we're going to keep going. We got some surprises for you. We got some stuff in the works. Make sure you follow Instagram, Twitter, everywhere, and keep listening.
That's right. All right. Thank you so much, everybody. Love you guys.
Out. It's kind of like, it was especially when they were starting out in the 90s.